Good afternoon on what is a bright, cool and chilly day. It is Thursday, 13th of October, and I'm in the reading Nook with a nice hot cup of tea. And a box to parcel to unbox. Let's get the knife out. Go. And in here, I've got a big pile of interesting books. Now I've already pulled out. Let me see. This one, Green and Pleasant Land. And the next one I'm going to pull out is this, which is the Statue of the Sorcerer and the Vanishing Conjurer, or the Vanishing Conjurer and the Statue of the Sorcerer. It's a scenario double pack from Games Workshop. Let's have a look. You see, published 1986 by Games Workshop for Call of Cthulhu. Sorry, basically, it's almost impossible to get this right. Which contained two scenarios, obviously Vanishing Conjurer and the Statue of the Sorcerer, but done as an ace double cover. So you open up, you've got one scenario like that. Okay. And then you flip the book like that, and you've got a scenario like that, and essentially they're upside down and back, sort of like back to front to each other. Tetrabesh is the technical term, I believe. I've just had to look that up. I didn't know either, but there we go. So this is technically these are the third and fourth scenarios that Games Workshop published for Call of Cthulhu as a licensee. Let's just see if I can get these. There we go. It's open. Obviously, beginning with Marcus L. Rowland's brilliant, fantastic Trail of the Loathsome Slime. Still, I contend that the greatest role-playing pun title ever. And then follow up by Nightmare in Norway. Then this, and then the last book that Games Workshop published was the Green and Pleasant Land source book, in addition, of course, to its own version of the third edition rules for Call of Cthulhu, which in the 80s was the one that most people in the UK kind of got involved in the game in, because it contained the contents of the Call of Cthulhu companion, so lots of background material and extra scenarios, and to really get you involved in playing the game. So let's have a look at this. So great covers. One idea, sort of like, this is almost you have a Chinese magician here, almost Fu Manchu like, and then we have danger as tentacles explode and a speeding car attempts to get away. So let's have a look at the first one. And this is by Mike Lewis and Sam Price. We open up, so standard presentation for Call of Cthulhu from Games Workshop during the period. So these middle boxes, lots of sort of like grey text around. Obligatory photograph or picture of H.P. Lovecraft before we get into the introduction and the scenario. So I haven't actually read this, so let's have a look at Vanishing Conjurer. London in the 20s, and scandal is threatening to rock the entertainment world. Something is lurking at the heart of the inner brotherhood of magic. Select club for stage magicians. Can the investigators impress the examiners with their tricks to infiltrate the brotherhood and finally discover what happened when the conjurer vanished? Characters get tickets and letters and so on to get them involved with Philip Leclerc, and he is he's the spur for the scenario, and you're into the world of magicians, and that's its own subculture in its own right. Obviously have its there's obviously the Magicians Club as well. And then we get a description of the Qinglong Su, the Inner Brotherhood of Magicians, who run the organisation, and of course, it's not just it's not the 1920s version of the Magic Circle, although obviously the front is, because it's an actual cult. And there's going to be a charity show, and the player characters can join, and this gives them a chance to show off their magic tricks. And we've got a description and layout of the Brotherhood's facilities in London. Of course, you could transfer this to any capital city. So, description of the various places, further investigations to conduct as well. And rumours within the Brotherhood, details of Qinglong Su himself, and the cult of Lang Shi. And then we have this location where the charity event will be on show, which is the Mermaid Theatre. So that's actually a nice addition. So you've got a theatre in there, and what's going on below stage, first floor, various places around the theatre, timeline of the event, and then of course the player characters, the investigators have to stop the summoning, prevent Qinglong Su from enacting his nefarious plans, which actually target the Prime Minister and the cabinet of the day. We have at the back a list of potential tricks which the player characters or investigators can learn, and so can the player characters, because there is the part of it sort of like, can the player characters or the players actually learn some tricks to impress the keeper. So that's part of it. Now, as I've done a review of this, and one of the problems I think is with the scenario is that the organisation, let's have a look, the Brotherhood of the Inner Brotherhood of Magic is a misogynist organisation, doesn't allow women, which, if you've got a female investigator, is a bit of a problem. So yeah, but it's serviceable. It seems that it's a bit overpowered. I think you sort of like, okay, oh yes, we're going to assassinate the Prime Minister. We'll use them in our summoning. Here we've got illustrations, handouts, and these sit in the middle of the book. And these generally sort of like, you can generally spot a Games Workshop style handout from its style, and the same thing happens with Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. So yeah, and then we get to the handouts, including sort of really nicely done letters for the statue of the statue of the Sorcerer, which is the second adventure, or the other adventure. So I'm going to flip that to the forward and show you that in a moment. So you've actually got actual puzzles here for the player characters to actually work out what's going on, as well as letters, and other handouts. There we go. And we have a timeline, of course, so a bit of a calendar for the events of Statue of the Sorcerer. So, Statue of the Sorcerer, an exciting investigative adventure set in San Francisco in 1925. A seemingly innocuous death on the seediest side of town draws the investigators into a complex web of intrigue and presents them with a series of enigmatic puzzles. Is San Francisco threatened by the elder gods? Now, San Francisco has sort of like been visited again and again over the years for Call of Cthulhu. It's a chapter on its own in the campaign Fungi from Yuggoth, also redone as the Day of the Beast. And it has its own supplement, Secrets of San Francisco, which hasn't been reprinted, and that's actually not a bad supplement as they go. And Statue of the Sorcerer is by Chris Elliott and Richard Edwards. Let's say essentially the overview. Essentially, this pack contains 2 complete adventures for Call of Cthulhu, printed back to back. Once you've played once, simply turn the book upside down and play the other. We recommend you play the Vanishing Sorcerer first and work the investigators up to tackling the awesome Statue of the Sorcerer. And this actually does have its own scenario, sort of like connected to it, which is Ghost Jackal Kill, which appeared in White Dwarf. So this is a complex adventure set in around the San Francisco area of California, mid-1925. So in this adventure, you could actually run, if you wanted to, if you decided that if you were running Master of Nyarlathotep, and your player characters, your investigators, decided that, okay, after New York, they weren't going to follow the natural path, which is New York, London, Cairo, Kenya, maybe Australia, and then China. You want to go, oh no, we're really fascinated by this this physical little prop, the matchbox. We're going to Shanghai. So to do that, you would actually probably travel by rail across the USA from New York to San Francisco, and then travel across by sea across the Pacific. And if you're going to San Francisco, why not run the Statue of the Sorcerer on the way? So this is a scenario so I believe it does involve Dashiell Hammett as an NPC. There we go. I believe that's him there. As far as I can recall, it's been a while since I've looked at this. And we've got player's introduction, further research involving a magic square. See, they've got a puzzle to work out. How magic squares operate. And then we've got basic general background, expanded details. Fairly dense in its text, but here are the areas where you're basically conducting research, getting the player characters and investigators informed, and then we have sort of like a timeline starting with Thursday, 11th of June, 1925. So this does take take place a bit later than the start of Master of Nyarlathotep. So I've got the first of the map, so basically a nice little scene there, house, vineyards, factory and so on, actual house where much of the action takes place, with the dreaded the bad guy, I believe, is Mr. Frederick Whirlman, as I remember, and the player character is going to visit this estate at least once. It's the main focus of the scenario. We've got a dedicated timeline as something oozes up out of the mists that gather over San Francisco Bay. And of course, if they return to El Profundo, which is the site of the vineyard, and then find the nemesis there summoning some great beast. So basically, what happens if they shoot him? Because it's quite a possibility. Presumably that's not going to work. But we've got quite a dedicated sort of like plot day by day and what's going on. Investigation until we get to epilogue, and we've got a timeline for Wallman there, so he's the main bad guy. I don't see any stats for him. Just have a look. Oddly not that I can see. So presumably the keeper will have to provide those for his game and his players. So yeah, so a pair of sort of like oddities from the past: Statue of the Sorcerer and Vanishing Conjurer. Both scenarios kind of show their age in terms of their writing, their horror, and their references, I think. So vintage but not necessarily great scenarios from Games Workshop. In fact, the best of the Call of Cthulhu scenarios that Games Workshop published really do appear in Green and Pleasant Land, at least in my opinion. So, anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this unboxing in the Nook. If you have, then please do click on the like button down below. And if you've got any comments or feedback, I appreciate you taking the time to post those. And lastly, if you want to be alerted to yet more unboxings in the Nook, where you will see me out here with a parcel containing a book or game, which I will unbox and chat about to the best extent of my knowledge for roughly 10 minutes or so, all of course accompanied by a nice hot cup of tea. Then please do hit that subscribe button down below. In the meantime, thanks again for watching another unboxing in the Nook. I'll be back again soon with another one. Bye for now.